About a year ago, I uploaded a video entitled Cheap Car Insurance for Young Drivers in the UK, in which I basically talked about my experience getting car insurance within England, UK in general, how to get the cheapest prices, what sort of cars to look for your first car, etc. etc. Now, things change a lot in that sort of time. It's been about a year, and it seems from the comments, it was a very popular video, and it seems from the comments that it was very helpful for a lot of you, so I'm glad that I could help you out. In terms of what now, it's a new year, it's a new start because things have changed financially, things have changed in terms of how the process works, and there's a lot of new laws, regulations, etc., and prices are changing dramatically as always. So I wanted to make this updated video because a few of you have requested it in the comments of the other one, and I wanted to actually get on with it and talk about my experiences slightly later on now that I've been driving for 2 years. So if we start off, this is going to be an unedited video, so excuse bloopers like that, but I wanted to do this on the basis that obviously it was helpful previously, and I want to cover the things that have changed in the meantime. So I've been driving for 2 years now, and I've just changed my car again. I'm onto my third car now. I've just got myself a 2016 Volkswagen Golf GTD, and it's a 2 litre TDI 184 horsepower model, and it's a brand new car valued at around £29,000. So obviously my insurance has gone up. I got my renewal with 2 years no claims. Currently, for me, the cheapest insurer is Admiral Group, which is Admiral and Elephant. Those hands down have been the cheapest quotes I've received, not through comparison sites, but going to their websites directly. I don't know, your mileage may vary with that one, so go to their website and do a quote. Just check it out. For younger insurers, for first time insurers, I'm not sure if that's going to be as helpful for you. But for me, 2 years down the line, they were the cheapest by far. So I got a renewal with Admiral on my 2008 Vauxhall Astra 1.6, and my renewal was £650. And that was a very good price. So that was with 2 years no claims, and I'm still using my dad as a named driver who has 15 plus years of driving experience. He's actually had his licence for about 35 years or 40 years or whatever it is, but it helps to have a parent as a named driver. Again, your mileage may vary with this because you can either have one parent as a named driver or you can have two parents as a named driver. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Sometimes I've had quotes where two is cheaper, but for the most part, only adding one named driver is the one that brings it down. Make sure you are the named driver, obviously, because you're the main driver, because if you're the main driver, that means you get the no claims bonus and it's fully insured under your name. A lot of people try and scout around it by going, oh, it's my dad's car, he's the main driver and I'm just the named driver. You can get your insurance void that way. I know it's tempting to do, but you won't even build up a no claims bonus, so it means 2-3 years down the line, if you go to get insured under your own name, you won't be making that discount, you won't get that saving of whatever it is on top, when it does make a big difference. So 2 years no claims, I'm now paying on my Volkswagen Golf through Admiral, my new GTD, £1,075, I think, around about that, which is still very good, but that is with a high voluntary excess of around £500. Now, the voluntary excess, if you're not aware of what voluntary excess is, voluntary excess is basically what you pay excess or what is taken away excess in the event of a claim. So they normally have a compulsory excess, which is say £150, £200. So say you had an accident, the damage is worth £1,000, they take away £150 from that, which is their excess, then £500 from you, which is the voluntary excess. So that's straight away, that's £650 that they can't give you. So for the event of a £1,000 claim, then you'd only be getting, say, £350 back. So that's the way it would roughly work in terms of what your no claims is. It depends whether you're willing to take that risk, whether you're willing to shell out in the event of an accident. I'm a fairly careful driver. I'm not an idiot on the road, and I think I've got fairly good spatial awareness. If you're the sort of person who's constantly having little bumps and stuff, maybe not for you, but it's worth having a mess around with your voluntary excess just to change the prices around a bit, and you can obviously lower that as the years go on as you get your renewals. So Admiral have been the best for me at the moment, as have Elephant. As I say, I'm not sure about first time drivers. As the previous video, I talked mainly about getting your first car insurance. In this video, I can only give so much information on that, obviously because I'm no longer doing that myself. I'm getting my insurance for my 3rd year of driving now, essentially. So that is what I'm looking at the moment. Admiral have been very good. The customer support is really good. I've had a few mishaps here and there, but for the most part, any problems I've had have been resolved. I highly recommend them. In terms of first time drivers, I'm still seeing that the common choice seems to be Tesco Blackbox insurance, which, as I mentioned in my previous video, is who I was with. So it's worth having a look at Tesco Blackbox insurance if you're on your first time driving, if it's your first year. I don't know what my quote would be with them at the moment. I imagine less than what I'm paying now because I no longer have a black box. Also, a good one I've heard is Bell. I know a guy who has a same age as me, 19. I'm 20 tomorrow, so that gives you an idea of age now. He's 19 and he has, I believe, 2 years no claims, and he is with Bell on a Volkswagen Golf R. With a named driver, and I think he's paying around the same sort of money that I'm paying on my Golf GTD, so it's a big step up in power in terms of the car. Mine has 184 horsepower diesel, his will be the same sort of size engine, but it will be something like 300 horsepower petrol, so there is a big difference there. But that was with Bell, and you get the little black box, but it's not one that they install in the car. It's one that they put in. You put in the cigarette lighter for about 3 months, just so that they know you're not driving like a moron, basically. And you pop it back to them after 3 months, and you don't have to wait for the rest of the term. So that could be a good one to look into. It's not quite as intrusive, but as I said, personally, my experience with Tesco Blackbox insurance is a really good one. They've never pulled me up on anything to do with my driving, and I just drive normally like a normal person. I didn't dally around like an old granny. None of that. I just drove how I wanted to drive. So that aside, in terms of things that have affected my quotes recently, as I said, if you want to focus more on first time drivers, it might still be worth going back and watching my old video because there'll be more information about that in there. But in terms of things that I've found out since then and things that have possibly changed, look at your annual mileage. What you quote on your annual mileage on your insurance policy, obviously you have to be somewhat accurate. You can't put 2,000 and then do 10,000 because that again could be a potential void of your policy. But in terms of what I looked at, my car, my contracts for my car is I think 5,000 to 6,000 miles per year. But I found the sweet spot for me in terms of quotes was 9,000 miles to put on the quotes. That's for my annual mileage. So I very much doubt I'll be doing 9,000 miles a year, but that was the cheapest cover available, and obviously it's more than what I'm doing, so it's better to be covered for more than covered for less, if you see what I mean. So the figure that I was looking at was around, I tried with 8,000, I moved it back down to 5,000, and my policy for the year went up by £150. I took it to 8,000, it came down by £150. I put it to 9,000, it came down again by about another £30. And then I put it to 10,000 and it shot back up again. So I found that every time my sweet spot was 9,000 miles. Again, your mileage may vary, quite literally in this case. You might have to tinker with that until you find the sweet spot for you, but make sure you are covered for the mileage that you are doing. Another thing is your job. How accurate is your job description where you've described yourself? Like, is it actually spot on, or is there something you can manoeuvre it with? On my contract for work, last year I was working at a government agency as an IT analyst, and that brought my price down a lot. I've now gone back, I'm now working in retail in a warehouse environment. So I put my thing down as a sales advisor or sales assistant because that roughly covers what my contract says. But it's not necessarily what I actually do. So I put that in, and the quote came up, say 1,100, or no, quote came up, say 1,200, and then I changed it to, I think I changed it to warehouse, no, not warehouseman, warehouseman it shot up, stock controller I changed it to. I changed it to stock controller because that is what I do. I am mainly stockroom based, so I deal with stock coming in and out of the store, and all that sort of thing, dealing with stock intakes and paperwork to do with that. So stock controller is a more accurate description of what I actually do, what my actual job entails, regardless of the fact that that isn't necessarily what my contract specifically says. it is a more accurate description of what I do. And if someone was to ask the company I work for what do they do, stock controller would be the most accurate description, and that actually took my price down again by about £100. Now these things for some reason make a big difference. Obviously where you live is another big factor, but there's nothing you can do about that. You can't get registered elsewhere because it's not right. Again, the paperwork has to come to your house. I mentioned this in the comments of the previous video. The paperwork has to come to your house. Not only that, but that if they find out you're living at a different address, which they can do through your driving license information, then again, policy could be void in the event of an accident. So it's not worth running the risks. It's worth giving accurate information, but just tweaking little things here and there to get those quotes down. So as I said, look for cars. If you're a first-time driver, look for cars, not necessarily that everyone would go for, but go for cars that have maybe slightly bigger engines but are in a slightly lower insurance group. Go on the Parker's website and check out the different insurance groups and what cars are in that category. Like I said before, the Skoda Fabia, the first generation, was one of the cheapest cars for me to insure when I was a first-time driver because it's such a low category. Even the 1.2 and the 1.4 were cheaper to insure than some 1 litre Corsas, for example. So look into that, look into the insurance groups. Not only that, but tweak the little things, like I said, the annual mileage, make sure your job information is correct. Make sure that you're using someone as a named driver, that will definitely bring it down, but make sure they have lots of experience, because if they don't have lots of experience, then again, that could just involve your price going up or not dropping as much as it potentially could. So whoever has the same license as you, for example, my mum only has an automatic license, I can't really use her on a manual vehicle. But my dad has a longer driving experience anyway, he has more no claims, etc. And if you put down that they own another car, which they most likely do, that also brings it down because they're insured on something else, so that does help as well. So that pretty much covers what I feel is going on with the updates at the moment. Really not that much has changed, just these small things, and those are the tips that I've got for you currently. As I said, for me personally, 2 years in at the moment, Admiral Elephant are currently by far the cheapest. I got a quote, a modified quote on my old car through Adrian Flux, and they could only offer me around $1,200, which is actually more than I'm currently paying on my Golf GTD, so not worth it at all. But obviously you should declare your mods if you modify your car, things like stickers and such. Ridiculous, don't worry, but serious modifications do really need to be documented for legal reasons. Not everyone does, that's definitely a given, but it's worthwhile doing, just in case you do have an accident and you're not covered. So that pretty much sums it up, guys. If I could give you more information, I would. But as I say, I am pretty much at the moment the only person who seems to have done this video, giving these suggestions in the UK. Most people who talk about car insurance seem to be from elsewhere in Europe or in the US. So it's good to know that people are coming to my video for advice. And I have seen there have been a whole host of videos that cropped up after mine. They've taken my idea and spoken about their own personal experience. That's fine, that's great. I'd love to hear your views on it, and I look forward to reading through your comments again. I'm constantly keeping up with the comments on the old video and seeing what you guys have to say about what kind of quotes you're getting, whereabouts in the country you are, etc. So yeah, it pretty much covers it. Just shop around. Definitely don't just use comparison sites, and if you do use comparison sites, use several comparison sites. I got a one-off quote on a website. It wasn't Go Compare or Compare the Market or one of them popular ones. It was another comparison site. I can't remember the name of it now, but if you Google comparison sites car insurance, you'll see it somewhere there. And I got a one-off quote that was really good, and that's what prompted me to look into Admiral. But other times I've gone there, I've got really high quotes. So it varies. It seems to vary day by day. Various other things like that. So it's a tricky one, but you will get there in the end. I wish you all the best of luck finding a good quote, and if you can, pay it up front, because you don't really want to be paying it monthly. And if you do pay monthly, maybe if you've got a credit card or something like that, maybe do it on the credit card if possible, because that's usually a lower interest rate. As long as you can afford to pay it back, don't you get yourself in any debt and that sort of thing. It's usually a much lower interest rate, and therefore you will end up paying less over the course of the time, or have lower monthly payments. So there it is, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I will do a tour of my new Golf soon, as some of you have requested. There's not many videos on the GTD either, apart from sort of car maker reviews, you know, like magazine reviews and stuff like that, but actually looking in depth around the car, like a Saab car style review. I'm tempted to do something a bit like that, so keep your eye out for that. I'm off now to celebrate my birthday. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.